Millionaire CEO pretended to be an employee until he fell in love with a desperate poor girl. Every millionaire has secrets, but this one could change everything. Sometimes the richest people in the world have the poorest hearts. Until they meet the one. The morning air was crisp as Alexander Reed, millionaire CEO of Reed Enterprises, stared at his reflection in the penthouse window. The city below belonged to him, or at least significant portions of it did. His company had just closed another billion-dollar deal, adding to his already astronomical net worth. Yet, as he adjusted his custom Italian suit, a hollowness gnawed at him. The millionaire had everything money could buy, but something was missing. "Sir, the board is concerned about employee morale at the downtown branch," his assistant mentioned, placing a folder on his desk. "Productivity is down 15% this quarter." Alexander's eyes narrowed. As a millionaire who had built his empire from nothing, he didn't tolerate inefficiency. But he'd long suspected the reports from middle management weren't telling the full story. An idea formed, radical, perhaps insane, but potentially revealing. "Cancel my appointments for the next month," he commanded. "And get me a complete identity change. Social security number, apartment, background history, everything." His assistant's eyes widened. "Sir." "I'm going undercover," the millionaire declared. "No one at the downtown branch will know who I really am." 3 days later, Alex Reynolds began his first day as an entry-level data analyst at Reed Enterprises' downtown location. Gone were the tailored suits and luxury watches. The millionaire CEO now wore off-the-rack clothes and a simple digital watch. His designer haircut had been replaced with something more modest, his posture slightly hunched to appear less commanding. The fluorescent lights of the office buzzed overhead as Alex was shown to his cubicle by the floor manager, a stern woman who barely looked up from her clipboard. "Training starts in 10 minutes. Try not to be late." The millionaire bit his tongue, unaccustomed to being spoken to so dismissively. It was during this training session that he first saw her. Mia Carter sat across the room, her attention focused intensely on taking notes. While others looked bored or distracted, she appeared determined to absorb every piece of information. The millionaire CEO found himself watching her, curious about her concentration in a room full of the disengaged. During lunch, while others gravitated toward familiar groups, Mia sat alone, carefully unpacking a simple homemade sandwich. The millionaire CEO, now just Alex, decided to approach. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, gesturing to the empty chair. Mia looked up, surprise flickering across her face. "Not at all," she replied with a small smile that didn't quite reach her tired eyes. Their conversation flowed more easily than Alex had anticipated. Mia was intelligent and thoughtful, speaking passionately about data analysis and its potential for improving business efficiency. The millionaire CEO found himself genuinely engaged, forgetting momentarily about his true identity. "How long have you been with the company?" he asked. 6 months, Mia answered. "It's not exactly what I dreamed of doing, but the healthcare benefits are good, and I need them." Something in her tone caught his attention. The millionaire's curiosity was piqued, but he sensed it wasn't the time to pry. Instead, he steered the conversation toward safer territory. As days turned into weeks, Alex found himself increasingly drawn to Mia. The millionaire CEO discovered problems in the workplace he never would have seen from his penthouse office. Outdated systems forcing employees to create manual workarounds. Middle managers taking credit for their subordinates' ideas. Coffee machines that hadn't worked properly in months. And then there was Mia. She arrived early, stayed late, and never complained. But the millionaire noticed the worry lines that appeared when she checked her phone, the way she saved half her lunch for later, the calls she took in hushed tones in the stairwell. One evening, working late, Alex found Mia staring at her computer screen, tears silently streaming down her face. "Me. What's wrong?" the Millionaire CEO asked, all thoughts of his undercover mission forgotten. She quickly wiped her eyes. "Nothing. I'm fine." "You're clearly not fine," he insisted gently. "Sometimes it helps to talk." For a moment, she seemed ready to brush him off. Then something broke. "My sister needs another surgery," Mia confessed. "The insurance will cover most of it, but the copay, I just don't have it. I've been working extra shifts, cutting every expense I can, but it's still not enough." The Millionaire CEO felt a lump in his throat. He could solve this problem with a single phone call, with pocket change he wouldn't even notice. But Alex couldn't do that without revealing his true identity. "I'm sorry," he said inadequately. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Mia shook her head. "Unless you've got $50,000 lying around, not really. But thanks for asking." She attempted a smile. "Enough about my problems. Want to grab a coffee? The machine on this floor actually works." As they walked to the break room, the Millionaire CEO's mind raced. He was beginning to see his company, his wealth, and his life through entirely new eyes. Their coffee breaks became a daily ritual. The millionaire learned about Mia's dreams of starting her own data analysis firm one day, focused on helping nonprofits maximize their impact. He learned about her younger sister's chronic illness, the parents she'd lost in a car accident 5 years ago, and how she'd put her own aspirations on hold to become her sister's guardian. "What about you?" Mia asked one day. "You're clearly overqualified for this position. What's your story?" The Millionaire CEO hesitated. "I wanted a change," he said finally. "My last job, I was surrounded by people but completely alone. I felt disconnected from what really matters." "And what really matters to you, Alex?" Her eyes held his, genuinely interested. For once, the powerful millionaire was speechless. What did matter to him? Before this experiment, he would have said success, wealth, expanding his empire. Now, he wasn't so sure. As their relationship deepened, Alex found himself facing an increasingly thorny dilemma. Every day he continued his charade, he was lying to someone he was growing to care about deeply. But revealing his true identity as a millionaire would destroy the genuine connection they'd built. The situation came to a head when Alex overheard Mia on the phone, her voice breaking as she explained to her sister's doctor that she needed more time to gather the funds. The Millionaire CEO made a decision. That night, he invited Mia to dinner at a modest restaurant. "There's something I need to tell you," he began after they'd ordered. Mia's face grew serious. "You're married, aren't you?" I knew this was too good to be true. "No, nothing like that," the millionaire assured her. "It's about who I really am." Before he could continue, their waiter arrived with their meals. As they ate, Alex found himself postponing his confession, savoring what might be their last normal interaction. After dinner, they walked through the park, the city lights twinkling around them. The Millionaire CEO took a deep breath. "Mia, my name isn't Alex Reynolds. It's Alexander Reed." She laughed. "You changed your name. That's your big secret." "I'm the CEO of Reed Enterprises," he continued. "I came to work undercover to see what was really happening in the company." Mia stopped walking, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. You're telling me you're the millionaire who owns the company?" "That's not funny, Alex." "It's not a joke." He pulled out his phone, showing her photos of himself in business settings, news articles about Reed Enterprises with his picture. Mia stared at the screen, then at him, her face draining of color. So all this time, you've been what? Studying us like lab rats? Getting close to me as part of your experiment? No, that's not it at all, the millionaire protested. Yes, I came to study the workplace, but meeting you, getting to know you, that was real. Real? Mia's voice rose. How can anything be real when it's built on a lie? You sat there and listened to me worry about money, about my sister's medical bills, and you, a millionaire, said nothing. I wanted to help, but I couldn't without revealing who I was. And that was more important to you than my sister's health. Tears welled in Mia's eyes. Do you have any idea what it's like to have to choose between paying rent and buying medication? No, of course you don't. You're a millionaire playing at being normal. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving the CEO standing alone in the park. For a week, Mia didn't come to work. The millionaire CEO, now back in his penthouse office, found himself unable to focus on anything. He'd instructed HR to approve her absence with full pay, but he couldn't reach out to her directly. She wasn't answering his calls or messages. Then came the news that Mia had submitted her resignation. The millionaire felt a pain in his chest unlike anything he'd experienced before. In just a few weeks, this woman had penetrated the armor he'd built around himself over decades. And now she was gone. Unable to accept this outcome, Alexander did what he did best. He took action. First, he anonymously paid for Mia's sister's surgery and all future medical expenses. Then, he implemented the workplace changes he'd observed were needed, fixing the broken systems, recognizing overlooked talent, creating paths for advancement based on merit rather than connections. But these changes, while necessary, didn't fill the void Mia had left. The millionaire CEO found himself standing outside her apartment building one rainy evening, flowers in hand, heart pounding like he was about to make the most important business presentation of his life. When she opened the door, her surprise quickly hardened into guardedness. 5 minutes, the millionaire pleaded. That's all I asked. Reluctantly, she let him in. Her apartment was small but tidy, filled with photos of her and her sister. How is she? He asked, nodding toward a recent picture. Better, Mia replied curtly. The hospital suddenly found the donor to cover her expenses. I assume that was you. The millionaire nodded. I wanted to help. I should have helped sooner. Why are you here, Alexander? Mia's use of his real name stung. Because I missed you, he admitted. Because in all my years as a millionaire, surrounded by people who want something from me, I've never met anyone who saw me for me until you. I didn't see you, she countered. I saw a person who didn't exist. He does exist, the millionaire insisted. Everything between us was real. My background, my wealth, those are just circumstances, not who I am. The man who shared coffee with you, who listened to you talk about your dreams, who fell in love with your spirit and courage, that's the real me. Mia's expression softened slightly. Even if that's true, we come from completely different worlds. Worlds can collide, the millionaire said, taking a tentative step closer. I don't want to lose you, Mia. I don't care if you never want to see the wealthy side of me again. I'll give it all away if that's what it takes. But please, give me a chance to prove that what we had, what we could have, is worth fighting for. For a long moment, Mia was silent. Then she spoke quietly. I'm not interested in your money. I never was. But I can't be with someone I don't trust. Then let me earn back your trust, the millionaire pleaded. Day by day, with complete honesty from now on. Something in his eyes must have reached her, because she nodded slightly. I can't promise anything, but I'm willing to try. Their reconciliation wasn't immediate or easy. The millionaire had to learn what it meant to be vulnerable, to let someone see past his wealth and power to the man beneath. Mia had to learn to trust again, to believe that his feelings for her were genuine. The first step in rebuilding their relationship was a simple coffee date, not at an exclusive cafe where the millionaire would normally be seen, but at the small shop near Mia's apartment where the baristas knew her by name. Alexander arrived early, nervously checking his watch every few minutes. When Mia walked in, dressed in jeans and a simple sweater, his heart raced as it had that first day in the office. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he admitted as she sat across from him. "I almost didn't," she confessed. "But I believe in second chances." That coffee date led to others. The Millionaire CEO, who had once judged time by its monetary value, now found himself treasuring each moment spent in Mia's company. They agreed to start fresh, to learn about each other all over again, this time with complete honesty. Mia was initially reluctant to visit Alexander's penthouse, the physical manifestation of the gulf between their worlds. When she finally agreed, she stood silently in his living room, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the priceless art, the unobstructed view of the city. "This is who you really are," she said softly. "No," the millionaire corrected her. "This is what I have, not who I am." To prove his point, Alexander began sharing parts of himself he'd kept hidden from everyone, including himself. He showed Mia the battered copy of The Great Gatsby he'd read as a teenager, dreaming of a different life. He played for her on the piano that had sat untouched in his living room, a skill he'd abandoned in his pursuit of wealth. He cooked her dinner using recipes his grandmother had taught him before she passed. In turn, Mia introduced Alexander to a world he'd overlooked despite owning significant parts of it. They visited the community garden where she volunteered on weekends. They attended her sister Lily's high school play, sitting in uncomfortable folding chairs and cheering louder than anyone when Lily took her bow. They spent an evening helping Mia's elderly neighbor move furniture, the Millionaire CEO's expensive shirt soaked with sweat by the end. As weeks turned into months, the barrier between their worlds began to dissolve. The millionaire found himself changed by Mia's perspective, her compassion, her resilience in the face of hardship. He began to see his wealth not as a measure of his success, but as a responsibility, a means to effect positive change. "I've been thinking," he told Mia one evening as they sat on her small balcony, sharing a bottle of wine. "I want to start a foundation focused on medical debt forgiveness." Mia studied his face. "Because of Lily?" "Partly," the millionaire admitted. "But also because of you." "Because it shouldn't take meeting a CEO for someone to get the care they need." With Mia's insight and Alexander's resources, they created the Fresh Start Foundation. The Millionaire CEO insisted that Mia take the lead, valuing her first-hand understanding of the issues they were addressing. Together, they worked to help families drowning in medical bills, to fund research into rare conditions like Lily's, and to advocate for healthcare reform. But their relationship faced challenges beyond their initial trust issues. The media caught wind of the millionaire dating an ordinary employee, and the tabloids had a field day. Paparazzi followed them, publishing unflattering photos and speculating that Mia was a gold digger who had somehow entrapped one of the world's richest bachelors. "Ignore them," Alexander advised when Mia showed him the latest headline. "They don't know us." But Mia struggled with the scrutiny, with the whispers that followed her, with the casual cruelty of strangers commenting on her appearance, her background, her worthiness to stand beside a millionaire. "Maybe they're right," she said during a particularly difficult week. "Maybe this is too complicated. Maybe we're kidding ourselves thinking we can bridge this gap." The millionaire felt panic rise within him. He had faced corporate takeovers, market crashes, ruthless competitors, but the thought of losing Mia terrified him in a way nothing else ever had. "Do you love me?" he asked simply. Mia looked surprised by the directness of the question. "Yes," she answered after a moment. "I do." Then the rest is just noise, the millionaire said firmly. We can handle it together. And they did. They weathered the media storm, which eventually died down when a newer, more scandalous story captured the public's attention. They navigated the awkwardness of social events where Mia was clearly considered an outsider by Alexander's peers. They worked through Mia's discomfort with displays of wealth and Alexander's occasional tone deafness about financial constraints. 1 year after their first meeting, the Millionaire CEO took Mia back to the park where he had first revealed his true identity. As they walked along the same path, he reflected on how much had changed. A year ago I thought I knew everything about success, he said. I measured it in dollars, in acquisitions, in market share. I was a millionaire, but I was bankrupt in all the ways that matter. Mia squeezed his hand but remained silent, sensing he had more to say. You showed me a different kind of wealth, the millionaire continued. The wealth of connection, of purpose, of being truly seen by another person. They stopped at a small pond, moonlight rippling across its surface. Alexander turned to face Mia, taking both her hands in his. I came to that office looking for business insights, but I found something infinitely more valuable, the millionaire said, his voice thick with emotion. I found you. He dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, beautiful but not ostentatious, a perfect reflection of their journey toward balance. Mia Carter, will you marry me? The millionaire asked, his heart in his throat. Tears glistened in Mia's eyes. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I will. Their wedding was neither the lavish society event expected of a millionaire CEO nor the simple ceremony Mia might have once envisioned. Instead, it was a thoughtful celebration that honored both their worlds. They exchanged vows in the community garden where Mia volunteered, surrounded by wildflowers and the people they loved most. Lily, now healthy thanks to the surgery and ongoing treatment, served as maid of honor. Alexander's longtime assistant, who had helped orchestrate his undercover mission, stood as his best man, a choice that raised eyebrows among his business associates but felt right to the millionaire. For their honeymoon, they didn't jet off to a private island or book the presidential suite at a 5-star resort. Instead, they embarked on a road trip across the country, staying in small towns and meeting people from all walks of life. The millionaire CEO, who had once traveled exclusively by private jet, found unexpected joy in roadside diners and quirky motels. Upon their return, they faced the question of where to live. Alexander's penthouse represented his past life of isolation despite its luxury. Mia's apartment, while comfortable, was too small for the life they wanted to build together. The solution came unexpectedly. While driving through a historic neighborhood one day, they spotted a neglected Victorian house with a for sale sign. Despite its peeling paint and overgrown garden, they could see its potential. We could restore it, the millionaire suggested. Make it ours from the ground up. Mia's eyes lit up at the idea. A fresh start in a home that's neither yours nor mine, but ours. The renovation became a labor of love. The millionaire who once delegated every task now found himself learning about load-bearing walls and historical preservation. Mia, who had grown up making do with what she had, discovered the joy of choosing just the right fixtures and finishes for their forever home. As their personal life flourished, so did their professional collaboration. The Fresh Start Foundation grew beyond its initial focus on medical debt, expanding to address educational opportunities, affordable housing, and community development. The millionaire CEO applied his business acumen not to increasing his own wealth, but to maximizing the foundation's impact. Mia, meanwhile, finally pursued her dream of starting a data analysis firm for nonprofits. With Alexander's encouragement and mentorship, but notably, without his financial investment, at her insistence she built a successful company that helped charitable organizations operate more efficiently and serve more people. 2 years into their marriage, they welcomed their first child, a daughter they named Hope, in recognition of what had brought them together and what they wished to create in the world. The Millionaire CEO, who had once scheduled meetings in 15-minute increments, now spent hours simply watching his daughter sleep, marveling at her tiny fingers and the limitless potential of her future. "I want her to understand the value of money without being defined by it," Alexander told Mia as they discussed how to raise a child amid such privilege. "I want her to know that being a millionaire means having the power to help others, not just yourself." Mia, who had grown up with so little, agreed. "And I want her to understand that true poverty isn't an empty bank account, but an empty heart." They created a family foundation that their children would one day help direct, ensuring that the values of compassion and service would continue for generations. They established a trust that would provide for their descendants' education and basic needs, but not enough to eliminate the need for purpose and work. As the years passed, the Millionaire CEO gradually stepped back from the day-to-day operations of Reed Enterprises, focusing instead on mentoring the next generation of leaders selected not just for their business acumen but for their integrity and vision. He remained chairman of the board but found greater fulfillment in his work with the foundation and in his family life. On their 10th anniversary, Alexander surprised Mia with a journal he'd kept throughout their relationship, documenting his transformation from a millionaire focused solely on wealth accumulation to a man rich in love, purpose, and community. "You saved me," he wrote in the final entry. "Not just from loneliness, but from the hollow pursuit of more that would never have been enough. You showed me what true wealth looks like." Me, in turn, presented him with a scrapbook of their journey, from newspaper clippings about the ruthless millionaire CEO to photos of Alexander reading bedtime stories to their children, coaching Little League, and serving meals at the community kitchen they had founded. "You changed my life in ways I never imagined," she told him. "But what matters most is that you remain true to the person I fell in love with, the man behind the millionaire." Their story became legendary in business schools and romantic lore, like the Millionaire CEO who went undercover and found his heart, the woman who taught him that true wealth cannot be measured in dollars. But for Alexander and Mia Reed, the greatest reward was the life they built together, a life rich not in possessions but in purpose, not in power but in love. As we conclude this incredible story, remember that appearances can be deceiving. The Millionaire CEO thought he was going undercover to learn about his company, but instead learned about himself. Mia thought she was falling for a coworker, but instead found a partner who would change her life forever. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales of love, transformation, and unexpected connections. And remember, sometimes the greatest treasures aren't found in bank accounts, but in the hearts of those around us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.